I'd like to call to order the Wednesday, November 5th, 2025 workshop meeting of Plymouth Township Council. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just a few announcements before we get down to business. Council will meet in an executive session at the conclusion of this meeting to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, potential litigation matters, and purchase and lease of real property. And police chief's remarks regarding the incident on Friday, October 24th, 2025. Is that for the regular meeting or for now?
For the regular meeting. It's
Regular
okay.
meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will have you do that, Chief,
All right,
at the
thank you.
beginning of the regular meeting. Thank you. I'm hoping all is going well with
Yes.
our officers.
Thank you.
Okay, our presentation items, the draft 2026 budget. Staff will present the draft 2026 budget, highlighting the services provided to the township residents and recommendations on funding strategies for all township funds. The final 2026 budget is scheduled to be considered for adoption at the regularly scheduled public meeting in December. And that would be the second Monday in December. We will have announcement of our boards and commission vacancies at the time of the regular meeting, or is that now?
I thought we could talk about it now, just really
Okay,
quickly.
good.
Circulated a list of those members of boards and commissions that are set to expire. Their term limits are up. That was circulated to council and included in the updated meeting packet this past Monday. Also included on that list are those who are eligible to be reappointed. And so I would just like to draw council's attention to those openings, and now is your opportunity to identify any interested parties for those appointments and forward them to me as you find them for consideration in the committee.
Okay, thank you.
Is it helpful if we have any discussion about those? I have a few people that might be interested in filling spots, just so we're not all chasing down the same openings. Sure. Yeah. So I have a person who is interested in a spot on the Environmental Advisory Board. Carol Nichols has shared her letter of interest with Matt. I would be comfortable nominating her. I mean, she's a good person. She's served before. She'd like to serve again. She's a good person. This is a topic that's interesting to her. So if everybody is comfortable, I mean, we can look at other candidates for sure, but with a number of spots open, that's one that we might have a good person.
Right, Carolyn's been on the EAB before. She had to resign early because of some family medical situations that were going on. She also has a background in waste management, and she is very committed to all matters environmental, water, air, plantings, preserving open space. So I think she was a good fit when she was on before. I think she'll continue to be a good fit.
So if everybody's comfortable with that, that's when we don't have to.
I am, for sure.
Another person, we have someone that would be willing to fill that spot. And then for the zoning hearing board opening, I have two people potentially that would be interested. So one is considering it, one said I would definitely be interested. So I think we're probably okay on the zoning hearing board as well. And I'm happy to talk about this more. Tony Stipa is currently on the planning agency. He's terming out on the planning agency. I think he would be great to step over to the hearing board if he was interested. He's a tremendous
been on the zoning hearing board before, so he knows how it operates. He's very familiar with the township, its rules, its regulations, the ordinances, the zoning. He's an excellent candidate to move over to zoning.
And he may or may not be interested, so he's thinking about it. If he's not interested, I've had someone else express interest, so even if he's not interested, we'd have a second person that'd be willing to step up. So I think that's another one where we probably are okay. If we want to spend our time trying to fill an agency and appeals where,
Building codes appeals, what experience should they have?
They should have an experience in the building trades, construction, real estate,
Okay.
architecture, that kind, in fact, I believe that's required.
Okay,
Yeah, even our code, they do have to have particular backgrounds.
okay.
You just need to double check that before you want to make people admit.
But planning agency, would somebody like a realtor be a good idea? What are the qualifications for that? Would that be?
I don't think
There's no qualifications for any of the other boards in terms of their professional background other than the Building Code Appeal Board. Other than the council discretion that they have an interest in, or maybe they have some professional related to real estate or land use or review of plans. And I think this is an excellent choice or background in having someone that serve as a planning commissioner or zoning hearing board member.
we're going to have 2 openings on that board.
I would also echo that, what Mr. Glassman said, and just, look at the current composition of the planning agency as well. It's like you don't want an agency of all realtors or all engineers or all planners. It's really good, in my experience, to have a nice intermixing of different backgrounds. And if there's, if you see what the professions are, if there's one missing, maybe that's what you could zero in on, identifying someone with that background.
Anybody know anybody, let us know, and we can judge their interest. Hopefully, we'll find some really good people. It's an important agency. Okay. Then we have people who are eligible for reappointment. We know the status of those individuals, whether they're interested or not.
Letters have gone out, and we have received 2 responses that they said that they are interested, and unfortunately, I don't have that with me tonight, so I don't know which 2 those are.
Well, that'll make it easier for us if they want to step back in and continue their service. So hopefully they will. Quite a few there. Okay, and then meeting dates in 2026. In accordance with the Township Charter, Council will convene at 7:30 p.m. on Monday, January 5th, 2026, for the reorganization meeting, during which a chair and a vice chair of Council will be appointed. At that meeting, Council will also set future meeting dates and times, which will be advertised as required by law. Following the reorganization meeting, Council will hold its January workshop meeting on the same day. Now we will begin our departmental updates. I'll just say, good evening, Rebecca. Hope all's going well. Good, okay. I guess I'll just start in the front row. Chris Oschiavo.
Everything is going well. The leaves are falling, so we are actively collecting, believe it or not, the 4th week of our leaf collection season already.
Is his voice getting picked up? Do we have to use a microphone? I'm sorry, Chris. Just because these minutes have to be transcribed. Sorry, Chris.
That's okay. Yeah, so we're actively collecting leaves. We're in our 4th week. And I would just, some of the questions that we get, why, we might jump into another section. So what we do is we go through the entire section that we're supposed to be in. If we get through that, we'll go into the next section, and then the next day we're back in the same section that we started, just so we can keep it moving. But some people get, upset thinking that, why are you here? You're not supposed to be here yet. But, so we'll finish a whole section, and if, in another couple of weeks, we're not going to even finish a section in a day. But right now, the leaves are actively falling. There's some people, you can see now people are starting to put their piles out. So if we get through that whole section, we'll move on to the next section, and then the next day we're right back in the same section again, and we'll do that. So besides that, everything is going well, and snow will be here before you know it.
Start snow announcements.
I
So,
know.
yes, it will be. From the leaves to the snow. Thank you, Chris.
But all good.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Some residents are panicking that all their leaves are not going to be down when the last date hits.
Yes.
And I think in the past, like, you'll, maybe come by again, even though the date's like
We do. We canvass the entire township till the last
I wanted
leaf
to
is
tell
picked
them
up.
that, but I didn't want to say it without being 100% sure.
Yeah, so we have the 3 times scheduled for each section. And then typically we wrap up around the second week in December is kind of when it ends, but people are always going to put out extra piles, late piles, but we always wait, we always get them, till we're done.
Confidence that that's
All
the
right.
case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Want to be up next? Give us an update, sir.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Things have been picking up this month with the holidays coming. I mean, we have many more people. It's getting congested in the commercial areas. So as a result, a lot of those types of crimes are going up. Stolen vehicles, burglaries. We had 48 social service contacts this month, which is good. And we've still been doing the traffic details. That suffered a little bit because everything else got busier, so there haven't been as many. One thing that we have noticed, and it's not a surprise because it's starting to get colder, is our calls for service and public assistance to the unhoused has gone up. We had about 36 this month, and we're projected to have about 266 by the end of the year, which, if you remember, only 5-6 years ago, we used to average 20 calls for that. So clearly that challenge is increasing every year. And then, of course, this time of year, it's from now until about April or May, it's going to be an issue.
Unfortunately, we've lost our local Code Blue shelter. So the county, our area of the county will be 38 beds short, which is not going to help. As more people are finding themselves in financial difficulties and unable to get warm places to sleep.
No, I have a meeting with Norristown's new chief of police next week, and one of the things we'll be discussing is we'll make every effort to transport anybody that needs it, since that's where the facility will be. So hopefully there'll be enough beds. I mean, I'm sure they're going to get filled up, but so that's pretty much it.
Very much, Chief.
Thank you.
Basically, the only thing I have is probably next week we're going to be rolling out the work order on tracers. So when anything needs to be done, it's all going to be electronic now. So we're just moving on.
Thank you very much, Jim. Thanks for doing all that hard work, too.
If I could just embellish on that.
Sure, embellish, because Jim is a man of very few words.
He's underselling it a little bit, and this is a really good use of technology that we're building on the tracer system that Jim has deployed for our permit processes. There's another aspect of it that is for work orders, which will help us manage internal work orders for our internal things digitally. So thank you, Jim. Looking forward to it, and this will help increase our efficiencies internally.
That's fantastic, thanks. Thank you. Mike Matichevsky, Fire.
So we just got done a very successful October, which is Fire Prevention Month. We did all the daycares and schools and also several different office buildings. 21 fire drills in total, which were 15 of the schools and daycares, 6 office buildings, and we have several more to reschedule by request of those facilities. They wanted to, the office buildings want to redo stuff, so we said, okay, let us know when. So we look forward to doing those in November. We did various presentations and stuff at the schools. We also joined the fire companies down in Conshohocken for the Colonial Fire Expo. So again, it was a great month, got a lot of exposure, talked to a lot of different residents out there, got a lot of different pamphlets, information, everything else out, and boy, did we give out fire helmets. So
Right.
it was good.
Smoke alarms and lithium batteries, they're all up to date on those, right?
Well, we tell them they should be. Whether or not they do, that's up to them, but that's what we try and sell, and we try and explain it all to them. And we just change the clocks. That's when you change your batteries and check your fire extinguishers. That's the other thing I was plugging this year. When you do all those things, check everything. But, yep.
I have a question on a fire extinguisher. If it says that it's full and it's in the green, even though it's old, does that mean it really is? Or
The gauge says that. What I also explain to people is take it, flip it slowly over, and then flip it back again. You'll feel the powder moving in there. Because over time, especially if they're older, that stuff can get caked in there. It's much like sugar or salt shakers, especially with humidity and everything else, where it's like you have to bang it. Older fire extinguishers can be that way. And that's when we were down in Conshohocken. I actually had an old fire extinguisher, and I showed people that. I handed it out to them. I said, now take it. Don't shake it violently, but tilt it back, and you'll feel the powder moving in there. So do that. Check the gauge. Make sure everything's good with it. And, of course, if they ever use it, even just once, got to replace it.
Thanks, Mike. Hey, Phil for Parks and Recreation.
First, thank you to everybody for their help with the ceremony today. I think we probably had a record crowd. It was beautiful weather. So thank you for that. Next ceremony is the Christmas tree lighting on December 3rd. So we have that going on. We continue to issue monthly updates on the progress with the pool so that it goes out through all our social medias. Matt puts it out through the township social medias, and we send an email out so people can visually see the progress. And we're making progress. So that's good news. We're also doing videos in between so people can watch what's going on. Our brochure will come out for the winter in the first week of December, and we'll try to get as many people involved in the activities as we can. So that's what we got going on.
The lighting contest of the homes
We're
again?
definitely doing the lighting contest, first 2 weeks in December. So
Residents really put a lot of effort into it. As much as they do Halloween,
Well,
one to the other.
might be time next year to add a Halloween one. So 'cause there's
okay.
a lot more going on in the fall than before. So
You need 2 categories, joyful and morbid.
Right. That'll be the challenge. But yeah, that we just talked about that. In fact, we talked about it some more today. So might be time to have an award for that too. But that'll go out in the judging is about the 15th, and we try to get them out there the first week right before Christmas. So the Parks Board judges that. But that's what we got going on. So
You and your staff did a great job with the Veterans Ceremony.
thank
I
you.
had so many remarks afterwards of how happy people were, but mostly how appreciative the veterans and their families were, including our guest speaker.
Yeah.
I was so happy to see how we honor our veterans.
yeah, we're glad to do it.
Thank you.
We're very lucky to have them. But yeah, so that's where we are with Parks and Rec this month. So.
Yes, that's it. We don't have buildings and grounds tonight. Okay.
But our friend Lonnie down
Wait a minute, Lonnie, you're up here with us.
Okay,
I
I'm
keep
used to,
forgetting
I'm
you,
used to being
Lonnie. I'm
skipped
so
over.
sorry.
I'm used to being skipped over. So,
No, I do this to you every month.
So I have two updates. One, the Knights Court project is completed. Final wearing course was put on the road. That was done this week. And the landscape architect and myself went out and did a site inspection of the landscape install. And with a few minor problems, that's also acceptable. So we're going to do another final inspection and create a checklist to start the maintenance bond procedure for that. So the maintenance bond is necessary to guarantee the work for 18 months. That and the other update is the Royal Farms project started on Ridge Pike. And you may have seen a lot of earth moving and a big pile of material out there. Right now they're trying to figure out what to do with all the excess. Some of it's contaminated because of the processes that were done on the project on the site in 50 years ago. So that's to get rid of it is a little bit more complicated than normal clean fill. So.
And just put it in a sinkhole,
I have to talk to a sinkhole expert on that, but no. So that's it.
All right, thanks so much, Lonnie.
All right.
Appreciate that. Anything else, Lonnie?
Good. Tonight's main event is the budget, so we are all teed up for that. So I don't have anything else to add, except just thank you to Carol and all the department heads and council for meeting with us throughout this whole process.
Should we present the draft budget now? Do you want to do the presentation now, or do you want to go through the rest of these items and take assignments?
Well, I guess it's up to you. Do you want to end the meeting with the presentation, or do you want to do something else at the end? So I think we can probably zip through assignment, just the review of the upcoming regular meetings. Maybe we do that and end with the budget. I like that idea.
Okay, all right, thank you.
That's
little bit
actually,
longer.
I think that's a good idea. I like that
I don't know, do you have any update for us, Rick, for buildings and grounds? Regular work, pardon?
Projects good going on, is
Just any update for your department? And
If you could come up and speak to the microphone, so it's...
I actually don't.
Ooh. Now, I expect next month nobody will have updates, right?
I'm just kidding. You want to know about the pool pump room, or is that?
Oh, I talked about it, thank you. Thanks so much, Rick. Okay, so before we get to the actual discussion of the budget, we'll just quickly go through these assignments for the regular meeting. We'll do our usual motion to approve the minutes and the departmental reports, and I will take care of motioning those. We'll have a motion to approve change order number 2 for the Harmonville Fire Company Station 2 rebuild construction project. Anyone want to take that one?
Do that one.
Thanks, Nick.
And if you would like a little bit of background on that one, we're hoping, from my lips to God's ears, that this is the last one. Much like the first change order, these details weren't known until the structure came down. And so this was a change to the structural steel that needed to happen once the wall of the ambulance was exposed. So hoping that this is the last one.
Okay, thank you. Glad to know that's moving along, right?
Got a wall up so far, so we're good.
Our next assignment will be to approve the escrow release, number 8, for 2622 Butler Pike, that's Ward 3. Lynn? Motion to adopt Resolution 2025-43, a traffic calming recommendation for New Hope Street. Should that be done by the ward where they're located? Okay, so that's you, Nick? No, wait, whose is it? Yours? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. New Hope Street, what?
one. I mean, I can do it.
Okay, you do it.
It's one? Yeah.
What's that?
So.
Okay,
you're all-
I thought it was one. Okay.
It is one?
I mean, I can do it. I don't care.
I can do it.
Okay,
I'm just not sure because of which side.
yeah.
This is on the border of East Norton also.
Right.
I'm getting signals from the audience that
All
Sorry,
right, Ward 1, Nick Whitney. All right, thank you.
And this, if I could provide some background on this, this is our first resolution for our recently adopted traffic calming policy. This is going to be a relatively easier one because we are making the recommendations of signage and striping. And so we are working on a boilerplate resolution that we will include in the meeting packet for Monday that shows you the resolution that defines it. We're going to add language on it that says it's going to be added to the list so long as there's funding to pay for these traffic calming improvements. And that's what was included in the 2026 budget.
Okay, so do we need any PennDOT approval for the signage? Only signals for PennDOT, not signage? Okay, great. And was this a request for traffic calming that came from residents? And so we got to test drive our new process, our new procedure?
Resulted in us tweaking the process.
Well, we knew that, yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, and we actually developed a new application form, rewrote that interface, and we also developed a form that we use internally to help us document it, and that's what you see as part of that recommendation that's included in tonight's meeting packet. Standardizing the process.
Okay, so will the resolution need any background information about how it came about, or just the motion to recommend that resolution? That
That's up to you. Next week, if you'd like me to provide that background information, I'd be happy to do that. The meeting packet will include the application, our analysis, and the resolution.
I think since we're at the beginning of doing this, it might be helpful to residents to know, how we receive it, what we do in response, and how the recommendation comes about. May not need to do it always, but at least in the beginning. Thanks, Matt. All right, so you will lead off before Nick reads the resolution. Thank you. And then a motion to approve stipulation to settle 3025 Chemical Road.
So that's a tax assessment appeal stipulation. I think in the past, Mike or I have handled those. It's a $21,000 refund to the property owner. It was negotiated by the school district for a few years that this case has lingered with the Board of Common Pleas.
Thank you. So you or whoever's here that meeting. And then we will have a presentation by the chief for a police department update.
But is that, Matt, is that a 2025 implementation? Will that be done before the calendar year's over, or does that kick us off for 2026 in the 2026 budget? How does that work?
Good question. We currently don't have any money in the budget in 2025 for traffic calming. Since we're so close, my recommendation is to adopt it in 2025, and we will add it to the list of projects to be funded early in 2026.
We'd like to do our Citizens Board vacancy announcements. Okay, Lynn, thank you. The announcement of upcoming zoning hearings for November.
You can do that one.
Aaron, thank you.
If I could just remind council that the zoning hearing scheduled for 900 Conshohocken, the data center, has been rescheduled to November 17th. Given all the interest in that, I just want to make sure that we announce that tonight, and we'll announce it next week as well.
Okay, so that would be, that address, of course, is Cliff Steele, and this will be at the request of the applicant. It was postponed until November 17th, and until we hear otherwise, that is when it would be heard. we will announce the upcoming events for Parks and Recreation. Thanks, Kristen. Then we will have our last Cunnytown update because there aren't really any outstanding matters left to update monthly. So, I mean, there's one small one, but basically it's nagging PennDOT. So I think we will announce that Cunnytown update is our final update, and going forward, December and into 2026, there will be no need for special monthly updates. If anything happens, it will always be communicated to those who are interested and will also be mentioned at regular meetings as well.
The pedestrian signal, I'm pretty sure it's completely done, waiting for verification from our traffic engineer. The only thing that we added will be, was able to connect with PennDOT regarding the guardrail status, reinitiate those conversations, and I have not heard a definitive answer yet. So I'm hoping to get that out before then. If not, I'll continue to be pestering PennDOT.
All the painting's been done, Chris, and that's all?
It is.
Yeah, great, thank you. Who would like to do the last Cunnytown update?
Do that one.
Okay, ma'am. That's your ward. All right, and then, I know Matt doesn't want us to do this, but we are required to do our snow announcement. Who would like to kick off winter with our snow announcement?
Happy about it, but I'll do it.
You know that should it snow, you have responsibility.
I do know
That's
that.
the way it works.
Yes.
I heard we're instituting a new tradition this year, too. So whatever council member makes the announcement closest to the first snowfall, you have to be in the lead snowplow truck.
Oh, now
Well, I'll
she
get in
definitely
there and
wants it.
plow.
Is that you have to, or you get to be in the
I
first
think-
one?
Yeah.
You get to be.
Might sound fun until you're going for 6-8 hours at a time.
I mean, fun fact, I've actually plowed before. Yeah.
Oh,
I hear a
well, there you
volunteer.
go. She has the experience as well as making the announcement. Okay, so we now move to the time for public comment. The members of the public are, well, I guess we should do the budget before public comment, or?
Public comment at the end of the meeting in case anybody.
Okay, so we'll go back and have our, draft budget presentation.
Okay. Right. So as I go through this, please jump in and ask any questions at any time. Feel free to do that. So this is the first public presentation for all the township funds. So the budget timeline, we started this back in the beginning of July, August. I sent out budgets to the department heads to fill out. Come September, or at the end of August, they were required to submit it. In September, Matt and I met with all the department heads. We went through, and that's where we did a lot of the analysis and cutting of any expenses that we deemed unnecessary. 2 weeks ago, we met with, in 3 different groups, council, to go over the draft budget. Tonight is when we're going over it in public. On Monday is when we'll do our final presentation, and then hopefully December 8th, the budget is adopted. Just some quick obstacles we ran into this year. As we mentioned before, rising costs, continued inflation, and economic constraints. Again, as a municipality, we're not immune to inflation or anything dealing with the economics going on right now. And then overall, aging infrastructure, our aging vehicle fleet, and aging equipment put some constraints on this budget as well. So for this budget presentation, we're going to be going over all township funds. Since our small group meetings, we made no changes to the budget. The main focus on this presentation will be the general fund, which is our main revenue streams, our real estate tax, business privilege tax, earned income tax, any money received from the state. The major department expenses, administration, police, public works, parks and recreation all included with that. Again, we only kept in budget requests we deemed necessary. And as we go over the general fund, we'll also jump into the reallocation of the healthcare expenses, which I brought forward to you before. All it is a reallocation from one fund to another. We'll also go over the two other main operating funds we have, the community center and sewer operating, as well as the 2026 capital projects from the capital reserve, Parks Capital Fund, and the community center capital. And of course, we'll continue to discuss the funding options later on after we go through the general fund. So just a quick view of all the funds again, 12 in all. We'll go over each one tonight. So for the general fund, this is just a quick overview of it, just to get a better understanding where we are financially at the beginning of 2026 and at the end. We're projecting a beginning fund balance of a little over $10 million. In that, start with the revenue. The major revenue sources, we're expecting $4.9 million in real estate tax revenue. Right now, it's highlighted because that is showing no increase to either the real estate tax or the fire fee increase or the fire services fee. We're expecting an EIT income of $8.9 million, which is a number we received from Berkheimer. Business privilege and mercantile tax, we're expecting about $8.7 million. This number is more based, it's more constrained to economic, what's going on economically too. So that is one of the ones that we're, we don't have complete control over compared to real estate tax and EIT. Solid waste disposal fees, we're expecting $1.275 million. Local services tax, $1.1 million. That's another number we received from Berkheimer. And then the other revenue sources, about $5.9 million. Those include your transfer tax, which we're expecting around $800,000. Cable franchise fees, $300,000. Interest earnings, $700,000. State aid for pension, a little over $1 million. The charges for services, basically what code charges, roughly $1.3 million. And park and rec fees, about $300,000. For expenditures, we'll go into this more in the next slide, but just a summary. For administration, roughly $4.3 million. Public safety, $19.8 million. Public works, $4.5 million. Parks and recreation, $1.8 million. And debt service, a little over $1 million. And then our transfers out, capital projects totaling $2.9 million. Those include the capital reserve, parks capital, and community center capital. Transfers out from the community center for $1.45 million, and a fire company transfer. Right now, that is without a increase to the fire services fee. So right now, currently, we have $230,000 transferring out. So at the end, the funding balance would be $4.7 million. Again, this is about $600,000 less than what GFOA would recommend to have in your fund balance, which is 2 months of operating expenses, or 17%.
Also, Cal and I agreed that we were going to tag team on some things here. And one thing I'd like to draw your attention to with that first highlighted value too is the $4.9 million real estate tax versus your earned income tax and business privilege tax. Look at the difference. I'd like to draw your attention to that, which is why, remember that as we move through this presentation and we get to the recommendations for funding scenarios. That's a little off. We need to start equalizing that. All three should be roughly the same, close to it. And one thing that we've experienced in our recent bond issuance was that we had an over-reliance on business privilege tax. We can control real estate taxes. We cannot control EIT and business privilege taxes. That's just up to what businesses are open, who's working here, same with EIT. Real estate taxes, we have more control over, which then, if we have a higher reliance of our tax base with the real estate tax, it helps us translate into better rates for our long-term debt obligations. So don't lose sight of that as we move through this, especially as we get into the funding scenarios.
So you're saying that if we were better balanced, we could get better rates when we have to borrow?
Don't get me wrong, we have really good bond rating, we're just not the highest. And call us...
We're the second highest.
We're the second highest. We want the highest. And we could potentially get the highest if we make some adjustments with our general fund funding.
So that went over a little bit of the revenue. So this is more in depth of the expenditures, and this is just a highlight of each department. As you'll see on this slide, it shows reallocation of our healthcare expenses and our pension expenses to each department. That's why you see the percent changed so out of line for this year at least, or it shows such an increase, and that's because of the reallocation. When you're going down, administration is down 50% from 25 to 26. That's largely because of the pension was charged all there in 2025. Now it's reallocated across the departments. And also the Social Security taxes and Medicare was all charged to one account administration. That is also being charged to each department starting in 26. As you keep going down the list, finance is up 60%. That's a new department. And again, that's because of healthcare and pension reallocation costs. IT is a new department, or a new created department for the budget. Not a new department at all, just newly created for the budget. Municipal buildings, that's up slightly, or up 40% due to, again, reallocation of healthcare and pension costs, and because materials and supplies have increased greatly due to inflation. Police has increased as well, and that is mainly because they are the largest department. They have almost 60 employees in them. So when you reallocate the healthcare expenses and pension costs across the police department, that's why you see such an increase there. Going down, the next biggest one to look at is Public Works. Again, another big department, and that's why that healthcare and the pension allocation costs increased that department greatly as well. In all, when you break it down and you would take out the healthcare expenses, it would really be closer to a 6% increase rather than a 20.8% increase that you see at the bottom line. So moving forward in 27, when we compare it to the 26 budget, that will be much more in line than what you've seen to what you have seen in the years past. Transfers out are down significantly, and this is mainly due to the healthcare reallocation costs that used to be charged or transferred to the Health and Welfare Fund, but now it's just going to stay. At least $3.6 million of it will stay in the general fund. Mainly, the Health and Welfare Fund was just a branch of the general fund. Mm-hmm.
The column that says 2026 approved budget, that's assuming,
Oh,
is that assuming no changes?
no changes. Yeah,
Okay, I just want to be sure. Thank you.
should say proposed budget.
That's okay.
Yeah.
If I could also just provide some additional clarity that we're going through, and Kellen has been working on this exercise to reclassify our accounting expense and revenue accounts to align them with DCE charge accounts, which is standardization that most municipalities across Pennsylvania use for their accounting purposes. We are aligning it with that and making some changes with the healthcare. Since, if you remember last month, we moved to appoint a new township auditor. Just knowing that because of that transition, we are trying to align our finances, pay dividends with our future audit process. So that's really the reason that we're making a lot of these changes. It looks like, oh my goodness, 20%. It's not really 20%, especially with Kellen's next slide, where he'll explain where that additional health and welfare fund is inflating these numbers just for 2026.
That would be helpful. I was going to ask about that, because if those numbers were, the dollars were taken out of one place and put someplace else, so I could see how different departments would look different, but the overall number, I'm not clear why the overall number looks like 20% instead of 6%.
Because that used to be in the transfers out. So if the last line here, transfers out, that used to be where that extra $3.6 million that you see here, that was transferred out to the Health and Welfare Fund. So that's where all the health care was paid out of previously. All the current health care was paid out of. So when we reallocate them back to the actual departments, comparing it to last year, that's when we add that health care expense line in there, that's where you see the jump. So to the healthcare fund, or the general fund healthcare, expenses, so the variance there, again, this is just, that 20% increase was due to healthcare reallocation costs, which was previously paid out of the Health and Welfare Fund, so all the current healthcare is either now paid out of, is paid out of the department's budget, so all of the general fund and also to the community center fund as well. You'll see that allocation as well. It's no added cost except for the standard inflation from year to year, about 5% increase in healthcare costs overall. And then mainly the reason for this was we just wanted to get and show a better cost of what each department is, especially with the healthcare costs, but also with the pension costs as well. So again, whatever increase you see on the general fund side, you're going to see that decrease now in the health and welfare fund when we get to that in a couple slides. So next slide is a continuation of the expenses. Just want to hit on the big changes for 2026, and the biggest one by far was the MMO, the minimal municipal obligation. Police increase was $540,000 from 2025, or $1.974 million this year. Non-uniform increase was $260,000 from 2025, which is a total of this year, or 2026, $730,000. Personnel increases across the board were 4%, or a total of $480,000. Going to each department, just breaking down which had a large increase in it. The general government for administration.
No, can I ask you a quick question?
Mm-hmm.
In the document that we had, it says personnel increases 4% department or 600K?
Yeah.
And this is 4.
It's 480. So the personnel. So the other part was the social. That would have included the Social Security. This is more towards just the salaries. When you break it down, when you add the Social Security, workers' comp, unemployment, all those other as well. When you break those down individually, it's not as great as an increase. I wanted to highlight more of what the salary increase would have been.
480
is the salary increase.
number.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So for general government, then the administration, $65,000 increase in planning costs. This was mainly for the Montgomery County Planning Commission and also for a consultant to review zoning. IT slightly increased $50,000. That's for hardware and software costs, and that's because IT is just being more and more used in government work. Public safety for police, a $92,000 increase in overtime due to the 2026 events that will occur around this area, the All-Star Game, FIFA, and the 250th anniversary of America. Also, a $117,000 increase in vehicles, and that's due to adding 2 new patrol vehicles, 2 new detective vehicles, a new EMC truck, and a new motorcycle. And $164,000 increase is a combination of a few things. One is a $60,000 increase to hire or maintain a social worker for full-time work through the social workers department, not through the township. Also $54,000 for EMC. That's going to be a new account for this year, for 2026. Yes. Yep. $22,000 for drones, which is for the new drones and maintaining them, and then $28,000 for community policing unit. And finally, Public Works, as you saw on the other side, that was an increase, and that mainly was due to, as I mentioned before, with inflation and the economic impact going on, increase in equipment and maintenance and the repairs that goes with everything. So that's it for the general fund. The next few slides are going to talk about the township taxes and what the services we provide are for the residents. So this slide shows a breakdown of the total Plymouth tax bill. It's roughly, for an assessed property of $180,000, it's roughly $6,300 total. About $4,800 of that is coming from the school district, or goes to the school district, I'm sorry. $1,000 goes to the county, and a little over $500 goes to the township. As you see on the graph, it shows the overall percentages for each as well. Next, so this shows the breakdown from the past 14 years of taxes, what it was in 2011 to what it is in 2025. For the Plymouth tax bill, it's gone up 1.345 mils. The county has gone up 2.947, and the school district has gone up 8.4. As you can see, the county's total since 2011 has gone up $530, and the school district has gone up a little over $1,500. Just highlight 3 of the main services that the township does provide. We have our own sanitation department, which offers twice a week trash pickup and picks up any other type of items as well. Most municipalities in Montgomery County do not offer this. You have to go out and get a hauler for on your own. We also have a full-service police department, which some municipalities rely on the state or neighboring municipalities for help. And we also have a community center with a pool, recreation center, gymnasium, and community center that offers adult and recreational classes.
Are trying to help share with our residents some of the services that they have. We shouldn't be adding in under sanitation department, recycling, yard clippings pickup once a week, leaf pickup. I mean, there's so much that our public works department does that I think probably doesn't happen in every municipality.
Yeah, I was
Not
thinking.
just twice a week trash, but
Right.
all those other things.
I was thinking the same thing, because didn't we talk about how, like, the branch and leaf pickup then reduces the amount of trash that we're disposing of overall, which is essentially saving money?
We could have developed about at least 5 additional slides with all of the benefits that we provide for residents. We wanted to distill it down to what we believe is like the most important things. These are the most, as not a resident of the township, I am envious of most taxpayers in Plymouth Township. For what you get for $530, I pay more than that just for once a week trash hauling private service. And you get twice a week, and you get all of those other things and everything else that the Public Works Department provides, full service police department, amazing GPCC. It's remarkable. And that's really what we wanted to highlight tonight, that for what you get, for what most taxpayers, residential taxpayers pay, it is enormous.
In some municipalities near us, although they do provide trash pickup, they assess it separately. You pay a separate tax bill.
Yep.
Ours is included in our taxes. We don't have a separate Public Works, pick up your trash, and, on your second trash day, they'll take large objects. You can put, appliances out there. We also have electronics recycling. We can bring our electronics and drop them off during the week. And we get so much for our taxes that nobody around us has it. Nobody.
I agree that we don't want this slide to be overly dense, but I think we should put some of those things on here. I mean, the recycling, the yard clippings, the electronics, the leaves. I just think there's so much that people take for granted and don't realize that it doesn't exist elsewhere for free. Or as part of your taxes.
Talking about this and how we wanted to explain what we get. And this presentation tonight is designed in such a way that it's more numbers-based and a little introduction of what you get. And based upon where council would like to go with the funding scenarios, we're going to fold that into the final budget presentation, which is on Monday, which we're going to highlight all of these services that we get, not all of them, most of the major services that we provide. And you're going to see, yeah, this is,
Okay.
I think this slide is really effective.
So this slide, what I did here was I just took the neighboring comparable municipalities, took their millage rate, what ours is, and included, did they include trash in their taxes? Did they have it as an extra on their tax bill? Because as Karen said, that some municipalities do that as well. Or do you just have to go out and get your own hauler? So what it was is the tax bill plus trash. And for trash, I did about $450 a year, knowing that quarterly it's what it is. And also adding in the fact, too, that a private hauler, you pay an extra fee to pick up, electronics or anything like that. So anything like that's an extra fee. So this is just showing what it is right now currently with our tax bill compared to the neighboring municipalities.
I could have loved this slide anymore. I think it's really telling. The only other thing I thought that possibly we could include, and maybe it's not here, maybe it's a separate slide, but I think it doesn't even factor in the sewer situation, which I think in some of our neighboring municipalities is stagnant. Okay, thank you.
We've separated sewer, this is general fund, we'll talk about sewer.
Okay.
And we're doing that.
Okay.
With that later in the presentation.
If you ever want to move out of Plymouth, good luck, because it's a bargain to live here.
So next slide, we went over this in our small group meetings, is just the different scenarios for real estate tax, because as I went over on one of the first slides, the ending fund balance for 2026 is projected to drop below the GFOA recommended balance. So this slide shows a real estate tax millage increase from 2.1 to 2.5. As you see at the end of 2026, this would cover that 2 months or 17% worth of operating expenses. This does not factor in the fire service fee increase, though. So based off a assessed property value of $180,000, it would be $72 extra next year, or $6 a month.
I just wanted to, again, reiterate that this is not to be viewed as doom and gloom. Really, the 2030 numbers don't have heart palpitations for that. When we discuss budgeting, anything beyond 2 years really gets kind of fuzzy. And so Kellen and I like to use a 5-year horizon just to get us, it's pretty loose math beyond 2 years. And what I would encourage everyone to look at is the trend, and you don't want to see a high variation. You don't want to see a really high fund balance and then a really low fund balance at the end of 5 years. We want to see more of a smoothing process. And so that's what I would draw your attention to, not the real numbers, the raw numbers, because they are a little sobering, but look at the variation between year to year.
Mm-hmm. And again, this is just for 1 year. This is from 25, or this is just for a 26 increase. It doesn't factor in the next 4 years.
I also, though, I can't help being drawn, like knowing that this is a move in the right direction, covers the GFOA recommendations for 2 months, but I'm still drawn to the deficit.
As you should, because this is representing a one-time tax increase for 2026. What this does not account for are any micro adjustments that we would recommend municipalities take to keep up with inflationary forces. So this is a one-time snapshot. If council decides to move forward with a one-time tax increase, this would be the effect. Since historically there have not been significant tax increases here in Plymouth Township, we're kind of behind a little bit. And so this first year in 2026 is going to be a much more significant increase than what we would project for upcoming years. And then we would recommend additional micro increases over the next 5 years or so, just to keep that that deficit smooth.
And also the transfers out that you see here, I believe it was about 10 million of that is for future capital projects. I would focus too more on the revenues versus expenses, because we can always go out for a solution to fund those capital projects. I think looking at the revenues and expenses and getting those more, teaming up the pace of that is a more useful thing to look at right now, because we can always go out for a bond issue if we wanted to for those capital projects, move them back. We have other options for that.
Which would eliminate most of those total costs. You would then budget for like $500,000 a year versus $4 million. So come full circle with what we were talking about earlier about our bond rating. And, the township historically has had really good, healthy cash fund balances, and we have not leveraged debt as a financial tool to help us manage these long-term liabilities. And that's something that Kellen and I have been working on and are looking forward to folding that into our capital improvement plan that will be kicking off. My shameless plug for the capital improvement plan that council will be hearing and hopefully adopting mid-year 2026.
That would dramatically improve the landscape for the surplus/deficit and also the ending fund balance if we did what you've suggested.
So next slide is going from 2.1 mils to 2.8 mils for the real estate tax. What this is really showing is what it would be for about a $10 a month increase in the tax bill, or $126 for the year. Again, this doesn't factor in the fire service fee increase, which is on the next slide. So this is the recommendation from going from right now what the millage is 0.845 to 1 mils. This would give you 6% increase for both fire companies, which is the same as what we did for 2025. It would increase the capital contributions from $115,000 for each department to $200,000 for each department. This wouldn't include a new employee for the Plymouth Fire Company. And going from 0.845 mils to 1 mil would be about $28 a year, or $2.30 a month more for a property assessed at $180,000. Next slide is the summary of the past 3 slides. Scenario 1 was the first row there, 2.5, and scenario 4 is 2.8. Just wanted to give you guys a little, just show what it looks like in between that, what the actual tax bill would look like. Again, also based off $180,000 assessed value, and that the current bill is about $530,000 at $180,000 assessed value. And then before the next, I just want to get to the next slide. If we were to go with that highest tax increase, the proposed highest tax increase, this is where we would land up on that municipal comparison chart from a couple of slides ago.
Which also includes fire service fee.
It includes fire service fee as well.
That's all in.
Yep.
Not counting sewer, which is a different conversation.
So then I guess now we want to give ask for your guidance on how you would like us to pursue the real estate tax millage and the sewer, or the fire service fee, where you guys would like us to go with that.
In order for us to develop the final budget presentation for this Monday, so we're looking for guidance from council as to which of these scenarios that you would be in favor of, and how we should bake that into next week's presentation for the final budget. So the floor is yours for some feedback.
Well, I mean, even if we go with a higher increase, we're still lower than any of our neighbors. For more services. I mean, we get a lot more for having to pay a lot less. And I think keeping up with inflation, increased cost everywhere, healthcare cost for, everything we need to provide. I think we have to consider raising it more now and less going forward. But still recognizing that you can't continue to pay salaries, buy equipment for our staff, the police, the public works, the necessary equipment that we need, and still provide these sterling services that we have for all of our residents. So I'm sort of favoring the 2.8 and raising the fire service fee to 1, so that we can truly fund the services that they're providing as volunteers. And it's not that much extra per month. I mean, it's like the cost of a dozen eggs. 1 dozen eggs, if you can limit yourself to 1 dozen eggs a month for a family. I don't know how anyone else feels, but that's where I am.
I mean, looking at the minimum of just 2.5 versus 2.8, like, I don't think we would consider doing anything less than 2.5. And I look at an extra $833 a month versus an extra $1283 a month. it doesn't feel as large of a difference on an individual property as I think, like, it'll make a really big difference when you look at the township as a whole and what we're able to do and what we're able to provide for not that much of a difference on a household property bill.
And we're still providing things like up-to-date playgrounds, basketball courts, all of these things that we have to keep our township healthy, all the recreation that is a part of what a township has to do. We not only have to keep everybody safe, but we need to keep them healthy too. That's our charge as a township. Services, safety, and just quality of life.
I, too, am interested in doing the increases as articulated by the chairwoman. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, so I won't repeat some of the things that have already been said. But I do want to mention that I have no interest in putting the township in a financial situation where in I don't know how many years we have to do a capital project and we don't have enough money because we've failed to raise taxes enough. And then we end up having to, God forbid, sell our sewer system or something like that, like certain townships have had to do in order to raise funds for that project, and then saddle our residents with the costs of private sewer or private trash or whatever it is we end up ostensibly having to sell. So I would like to not ever have to do that.
Aaron raises a really good point. We did not sell our sewer system. And all of the townships around us that sold their sewer system, their residents have really paid the price. And we've been able to keep our rates reasonable, not be beholden to, projects taken on by huge outside corporations. So I just, I don't want to have to take an asset like our sewer system and put it at risk because we didn't, have people pay an extra $12.50 a month to really continue the premium services we offer.
Yeah, we're going to illustrate those costs here in a minute when we start talking about the sewer fund and look at our neighboring sewer rates. And it too is remarkable. And I just wanted to say, we as staff never take tax increases lightly. Understanding that this is public dollars and this comes out of everybody's pockets. We get that. We've been fortunate that we have not increased taxes as we should have over the years. And so we have an opportunity to right the ship a bit and to stave off any significant tax increases in the near future. If the council chooses to not move forward with a significant tax increase, then we're just kicking that can to next year. We're going to be at this same place next year having this same conversation. So here's an opportunity for us to rewrite that script a bit, get ahead of it, and start making really good long-term financial decisions.
And again, with no sacrifice to the services we're providing. I mean, really.
Maintaining current unbelievable levels of service.
While still having some of the lowest taxes around. I think the risk of not righting the ship, to me, is significant. I don't think we can afford to not right the ship at this point. And while doing so, to your point, Matt, I think we are always all sensitive to any increase in taxes. We realize that for some people, even $10 or $12 a month is something they'll feel. But I think to be responsible in terms of the long-term health of the township, this is something we have to do. And hopefully, we can make smaller increases in years to come, but, we right the ship and, look forward to making more modest increases as we go. Hopefully never putting ourselves in a situation again where we fail to raise taxes for a long period of time and then have to make a bigger increase all at once. And I think the fire service fee increase to, $1 is completely a no-brainer.
That's negligible.
To me, that's not even on the table for discussion. I think that's just do it.
And just to provide some more background for why we are in this position, we are an urban municipality, pretty much built out. We don't have greenfield development. We're not expanding our We've got a significant amount of commercial space. And what's happening to the commercial real estate market? And so what does that translate to? Those property owners are going to the county and negotiating reassessments. That reassessment then has a negative total impact on our budget. And so that's why we're in this position where we have to consider a larger tax increase, because our market, our ratables are changing. It's dynamic. And so we have to stay aware of that, and we have to be ahead of it, and we have to think creatively, making sure that we maintain our budgets to provide these services.
Just to add a little context to my comment about the fire service fee, I think we have two outstanding fire companies that are there any and every time any resident in this township needs them. And I think that increase is so nominal for the kind of service that we get on an ongoing basis and need. I mean, it's such a critical service. We need that service. We need what they do. That is, I think that is, as a township, that is the least that we can do to make sure that they have the equipment they need and what they need.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't specifically weigh in, but yeah, I'm leaning towards the highest. I agree, we need to catch up to be responsible.
World is only getting more expensive for everybody, but it's always, but it's always cheaper to do things in-house. So the more we can keep all of our services run by Plymouth Township, the better.
When they start getting run by outside entities, you lose control over your bills, you lose control over the quality of the services. I mean, I unfortunately read Facebook posts, and I see what other townships, residents go through with their private hauling services. I feel really bad for them. You know, things don't get picked up. There's no communication. We're so lucky here. Thank you, Chris.
I think from a communication perspective, I think we've all agreed to this, but I think this is important information to share. I mean, the fact that in other municipalities, people pay more for their trash service than our residents pay for, in their, like a year's worth of taxes is so telling. And I think people just don't know that. I mean, I know people are grateful for what they get. I know they're grateful for our police department, for our public services. They're grateful for what they get. But I don't know if they realize, you know, exactly how efficient we are with taxes and how good our services are, particularly compared to others around us.
I don't think you've heard anybody say, go cautious. I think we say, go responsibly.
We appreciate that. We will develop our final budget presentation for Monday. Reflect those increases.
Thank you. Thank you for the, well, I know we have more to go through, but thank you so much.
Yeah, no, the
for
next
presenting this.
next bit should be a little bit quicker. So the next fund to go over is the retiree healthcare fund, which is the one I was talking about earlier with the reallocation. As you can see on this slide, it shows that the expenses are going down greatly, and that's because we're not going to be paying our current healthcare costs out of this fund anymore. It's going to be expensed across each department. The one thing you do see go up is the revenues, which I'll get to on the next slide. Since we are only going to be using this fund for retiree health care anymore, we're going to take money from our OPEB trust fund that's been set up for years. It's 96% funded. Now's the time to begin using it. By transferring that $1.4 million you see there, that will cover the majority of the cost for the retiree health care fund, or the health care costs moving forward. Other revenues in this fund are a little bit of interest earnings and contributions from retirees and from the police. And then the expenses, the ones you see with divot next to it, those are the current health care. Those are for retirees that are still in the divot plan. And the ones with the Aetna next to it, for the retirees, administration, and police, that's for Medicare expenses. In all, that totals about $1.4 million. So that transfer from our OPEB trust fund of about 1.4, along with the other contributions, will cover the cost for next year. And that takes care of the retiree health care fund for 2026.
So if you just, if everybody were to combine the general fund with this fund, that's where we have that just under 6% increase year-over-year budget. This is the other side of it. So if you look at last year's healthcare fund, it was significantly larger because we had a significant transfer from the general fund going into this fund. So you really, to get a clear picture of this year's budget, you have to look at both of those funds in tandem to look at the bottom.
And I think we discussed this in our smaller meetings, but the goal going forward also be year after year to take the money out of that fund.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Permanent plan now.
Yes, that's the permanent plan. Yep. The next fund, two funds we're going to go over are the community center and the community center capital funds. So starting with the community center operating fund. Next year is going to be a little bit of different year due to the pool pump room being renovated, and the aquatic's not going to be the main revenue source, or one of the main revenue sources is through aquatic revenue, so we're not going to be seeing as much on the revenue side. There'll also be a little bit evened out with the expense side. So going into the revenue portion, you see it's down about 12.2% going into next year. And again, that's just because the pool pump room is going to be renovated for about the first 3 months of the year. So we're not expecting to have that opened up for at least a quarter of the year. Going into 2027, though, we'll see this go back to normal, or as close to normal as possible. The other increase is from the transfer from the general fund, and that's just covering because, again, we aren't going to be making as much revenue due to the pool bump, or due to the pool being closed for next year for about 3 months. The expense side of it as well, kind of the same story with the general fund. You see the administration expenses going down 13%, and that's because this is where all the health care was paid out of and the pension costs were paid out of originally. So now that's being spread across the other departments as well, and that, again, keeps us in line with what we're doing with the general fund. And again, the aquatics, you see about 3% increase there, and that's because the pool is going to be closed, so the expenses aren't going to be, revenues will go down, and as the expenses will go down as well.
Just to reiterate, moving forward, most of the next funds, these are represented in the proposed tax increase in the general fund. Those are those transfers out. So that total tax increase that we're proposing funds all of these other, I call them children of the general funds.
So the next fund is the Community Center Capital Fund. There are no main revenue sources. Like Matt just said, the main revenue source is through transfers in from the general fund. And we're expecting about $355,000 in expenses, which are the projects for next year. So for an ending balance next year, about $32,000. So for 2026, we're planning on having a boiler replacement for $150,000, sauna room renovations for $30,000, fitness equipment $50,000, locker repairs and new doors. This will be the first of 4 phases for $50,000, and to repair the rear wing wall for $75,000 for a total of $355,000 for 2026. And then for 27 through 30, we're expecting about $1.76 million in capital projects being done for those 4 years. So next is the sewer fund. Right off the bat, we're proposing a rate increase of 9%, going from $65.65 for the first 7,000 gallons to $71.56. Down below is a comparison of 2 neighboring municipalities and a private company, and that's based off of a quarter. As you can see, we have the lowest per quarter rate of those 2 municipalities and the private company. That's also factoring that you're using 10,500 gallons. So for this 9% rate increase, it's also going to be used to fund the Plymouth Interceptor project that we've been discussing for a couple of years now. That's projected to come in about $4.4 million. I'll get into that when we go through the sewer capital projects. So even though we have a 9% increase, residents with well water will remain at the $84.50. And again, the increase is to cover the Plymouth, mainly to cover the Plymouth Interceptor project that we're projecting to start next year. So just a summary of 25 compared to 26. Again, we're planning on doing more projects in 26, and that's where the transfers out comes from. We're transferring that money out to the sewer capital fund, which is where we're going to pay our projects from. The sewer fund revenues, we're expecting a little bit of a decrease in interest, and that's because interest rates are decreasing. And then we're also expecting a 9% increase in sewer collections. That's our main, that's where the sewer rate increase would come out of. So we're expecting about a 7% increase in total revenues. We're also expecting transfers out in to be no transfers in, since we'll have enough money to fund the sewer projects this year. In 25, we're going to use $1.5 million from the general fund to cover that year, but we will have sufficient funds to cover the projects we're planning to do in 26. Expense-wise, this is kind of what we've been talking about with the community center and general fund operating expenses. We're now going to be paying the health care, what little is out of this fund for the one employee we pay. Buildings, we're expecting a 10.5% increase, and that's due to increased costs of our pump stations and for the other inlet repairs for the sewer system. For sewer treatment, we're expecting a decrease to the East Norton Plymouth Whitpain Joint Sewer Authority plant, and that's due to having a drier year in 2024, and that's what the rates are based off of for 26. The other increase is to the other treatment plants or the other sewers that would be Whitpain and White Marsh. We pay certain bills for those residents who are on those. We pay the bills for those that are on other septic systems, and that's due to rate increases from Whitpain and White Marsh from 24 to 25. We're catching up with it in 26. And then capital contributions, we'll be paying that out of the sewer capital fund moving forward. That's why you see no proposed expense there. Sewer capital fund's the next fund to go over. The main revenues here are through developer impact fees. That's where the $145,000 comes from. $6.4 million in expenses is for the projects I get to in the next slide. And we're expecting a transfer in of $5.6 million from the sewer operating fund to fund those projects. So in 2026, we're expecting $100,000 for the Ridge Pike Sewer A project, Ridge Pike Sewer B to be $1 million. Every year we do a sewer slip lining project of about $400,000. Again, Plymouth Interceptor Phase 3, we're expecting to be about $4.4 million. And then the capital contributions to the two main plants, the East Norton Plymouth Whitpain Joint Sewer Authority at $440,000, and to the Borough of Conshohocken Authority for $74,000. And for the next 4 years, from 27 to 30, roughly $5.2 million in expenses for capital projects. The next fund's the Capital Reserve Fund. This is where our main projects are paid out of. Main revenues for this is mainly through the interest we receive in the Capital Reserve Fund. Again, expenses are just going to be all the projects, so $3.6 million total there. And another main financing source comes through the general fund. We're expecting $2.3 million of transfers from there. So for the 2026 projects, the firehouse construction, another $2 million for the firehouse. Police men's locker room renovations, $110,000. New Sallyport garage door, it was $20,000. New awning at Public Works building, $35,000. The annual street paving that Public Works does every year, $300,000. Then some equipment that will be replaced in a trash truck body replacement for $120,000. A highway swap loader for $300,000. New parks, vehicles, and mowers for almost $150,000. a new spray rig and equipment for $20,000, a new highway dump truck for $200,000, and some new IT servers and infrastructure, roughly $350,000. And again, that comes to about $3.6 million for projects in 2026. And looking through 2027 through 2030, we're expecting roughly $5.9 million in projects for this 4 years total.
I also just wanted to remind you that we do have a RACP grant from the state for the firehouse rebuild for $1.975 million. Actually, I'm not showing that as revenue yet because we have to budget for the full expense. That's a reimbursement. It's probably not going to happen until roughly in 2026 for that process to happen. So we just didn't want to budget for it, but the 2027 budget should be much more healthy since that will reflect getting that.
All right, just a couple more funds. Next, Parks Capital Reserve, or Parks Capital Reserve Fund. So the main revenues here is developer impact fees. We're hoping for $25,000 next year. Expenses, that's all the projects. They're going to total $610,000. Again, this is another fund that relies on the general fund for financing. And we're going to be transferring about $350,000. For 2026 projects, we have Allenwood Park basketball court coating for $10,000. At East Plymouth Valley Park, replacement of dugouts at fields 1 and 4 for $250,000. And at JFK Park, playground replacement for $350,000. Again, for 2026 projects, total $610,000. And looking from 2027 to 2030, we're projecting about $2 million worth of projects to be done.
If I could just chime in about the East Plymouth Valley dugout replacement for fields 1 and 4. You remember the 2025 budget had $100,000 committed. We haven't been able to apply that to the dugouts yet. Our key takeaway through the process for identifying the dugouts, we realized that $100,000 was grossly under. So this represents the real cost of what it would replace, or what it would cost to replace 4 total dugouts on 2 fields.
New dugouts will be much safer, too. You know, the construction of them and the visibility, it's really necessary for the safety of these kids.
And we're currently working with Plymouth Little League folks on a combined bid, because they have some ideas of what they would like to do for some capital improvements as well.
Highway Aid Fund. So this fund is mainly funded through state aid for liquid fuels money. That's basically based off of the population and the miles of highway that Plymouth Township has. So that's where the main revenue source comes from. We're expecting about almost $470,000 next year in it. And we also make some interest in this fund. And again, alluding to back at the beginning of the presentation, a lot of these increases are going to be due to materials and supplies from inflation. That's mainly what a lot of these increases are from. For street signs and markings, there's a $50,000 increase, and that's for thermoplastic paint. And then there's also about a $400,000 increase in equipment, and that is for a wheel loader, 3 plows, and a salt spreader. So whatever we receive from the state in this fund, we basically all use in that year. Anything we don't, we just carry it forward for the next year. Stormwater Outfall Fund. Main revenue source for this is developer impact fees again, and this is another fund where whatever we receive, we will generally use we will generally expend. So this is mainly used for storm sewer inlet repairs, and we're expecting to use about $70,000 of that next year. And the last 2 funds are Act 209 Area 1 and 2 fund. These are traffic improvement funds that we receive money from developer impact fees. We're not planning on any expenses in either of these 2 funds next year. We could receive some money from, through impact fees, but right now we don't have anything currently in the budget to spend for next year. And those are the last two funds. So if there's any questions. That was, thank you.
Actually understood everything, and budget is not my strong point. Graphics were immensely helpful for me. And thank you, Matt, too, because I know you two worked on this together really hard. Ask all along as we went along. Anyone else have questions they want to raise or Kellen, Matt?
All the department heads for engaging in a new process, creating a new process, to Kellen and Matt. I mean, this was so much easier to manage and digest and engage around, so thank you.
Good, thank you for your support in it also. Our vision comes to reality. I can't do it without my team and without the council. It truly is a full team effort. We all have specific roles to play, and I appreciate your cooperation in it. Looking forward to continuing the conversation next week. We'll fold it into the final budget presentation. I'm looking at hopefully a 20-minute presentation, just nice, short, sweet, identifying, really highlighting what we get, and no significant changes between, it was only a couple of days between now and then.
Don't forget Lynn's favorite slide. I like the $100 bill slide. Well, thank you all, seriously, that was really, really great. I don't know how much work everyone put into it, including all the department heads who had, as always, you keep it really lean, but we get so much for what you provide to us and to all our residents. I mean, it's just amazing what we get here from it. I guess if there's any public comment that anybody. John. You're not public, John. Nothing else? I think we can adjourn. Yes? Anything else? Anybody? All right, the meeting's adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for spending the time with us.